I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to start the meeting with, yeah, this will probably be me today.
Put on your fire again.
Okay. How's that? Yeah, all right. Okay, I'm just before we start, one announcement. We received the resignation in the mail last week, the resignation of Barbara Kissel, who served for 10 years on the Parks and Recs Committee, and decided that 10 years was enough. And of course, you know, she finished her 10 years with the skateboard park.
That's right.
A huge success. And, over 400 young people have signed up for that, including my grandson. As a matter of fact, he was enjoying it this week.
There are some not so young too.
Yeah. And some not so young people too. But nobody at this table, as far as I know. So for Barbara, let's have a round of applause. Okay, we have a very light agenda tonight. I'm surprised so many people come out. Yeah, something, I don't know. Joe, are you serving food or something that you didn't tell us about back there? No, I don't know. At any rate, we have, as I say, a light agenda. We have a couple of topics for discussion. And the first one we'll dispose of fairly quickly, which is the Golf Task Force, which met again last week. Marty, do you want to say anything about that, or do you want me to just...
You can. I mean, you were there.
I was there. And awake, you know, for the most part. The Golf Task Force, again, was basically put together at the suggestion of Director Clark. And it's to look at different ways to improve the revenues on the golf course. That's the primary purpose of it. And we were joined by Sean and Sean Fishbeck, the pro, and Harlan Goldman, the director of golf, and several members of the golf course, and including one golfer who's not a member of the golf course. And we brought back in the golfing advisors. Help me out, Marty, what's their name? The company that came in a few years ago and did us golf profit builders, yeah. And we asked them a few months ago to come back in and review what we did with their recommendations, and some of which we followed, not all of which. And to make further recommendations, you know, to take a real look at it. They did. They gave us, I think, a very useful report. The principal recommendation of which is that we needed, at least on a part-time basis, to hire somebody specifically devoted to marketing our golf course. We discussed that at the last meeting. Sean Fishbeck made a proposal that, you know, he felt that he knew some people that may be interested in doing that on a highly incentivized basis, something that wouldn't cost us. Of course, anytime you hire somebody, you know, that expects to be paid, we have an immediate budget problem. But at least we're looking right now at doing that in a way which we hope won't impact the budget, or at least not very significantly. And at the same time, will get us a pretty good return. So I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Mike.
Nothing other than we're on the road looking for that person.
Yeah.
What are you going to offer that person?
Well, you know, first you talk to the person, find out, you know, what their background is and what we feel that they can do for us before you get into the incentive. But basically, we would certainly look that a significant part of the compensation would be incentivized. In other words, we would establish some benchmarks for what what we're currently achieving and planning to achieve, and that benchmark would be used to determine how effective the person has been in his marketing efforts.
Determine a time frame for that too?
Well, certainly we don't expect that anything can happen immediately. I mean, and it also depends, your question depends on what time of the year we actually bring the person on board. I mean, fundamentally, we'd be starting to look at and that was Sean's idea, to increase our visibility to the packages and to do marketing of groups that meet with the packagers. Other golf courses are represented typically at these things. And and the packages generally come in on in the shoulder seasons, that is to say, the spring and the fall. So the results, certainly it's not going to impact the winter golf, but if you could look at next spring as being the time to see the impact. Okay. Well, I've delayed on that subject as long as I can. And now we get into the community center rental fees. And let me start by saying that what we had done at the, I think it was the last meeting, or was it 2 meetings ago? May meeting, was 2 months ago, was to ask the general manager to look at a schedule of fees that might be charged for the use of the community hall. And that could be by extension other facilities as well. And to basically, build a straw man for what those fees might be. And then from that, take a look at what we actually might gain by that. In other words, what could the revenues possibly be as compared to the cost. What I tried to do was take the paper that was, and by the way, of course, we received a few emails from various people. And we read, at least I read them all. I didn't answer them all, but because that was difficult, but certainly we read them all. And there were, various points made, not all the same points in all the same email, but there certainly were definitely some, strings that you could follow as to why we shouldn't do that. I do not remember or recall receiving any emails, and the board members are free to correct me, saying that we should do it. If there was one of those, I'm sure it would have come to my mind. But, well, yeah. I don't think that, to be honest, I don't think that anybody that has been using the facilities on a regular basis, would certainly feel good about that. But one of the things that to summarize quickly, if I can, and maybe frame some of your comments, which I'm sure are coming, is to look at our current policy. And I've been corrected by Director Clark to say it's not really a policy because it's not written down, but actually it is kind of written down in the rental fee schedules, where up at the top it says no charges for community organizations. Yeah. So that is, in fact, the current policy. For community organizations, there is no charge for the use of community hall, recreation rooms, meeting rooms, and kitchen. I just cut it off there. It also says ball fields and other stuff, and playgrounds and whatever. Now, in coming up with the list, the general manager identified 7 organizations for which free use, put that in quotation marks, for use, includes setup, breakdown, and cleanup services. And he estimated a total of 134 events a year at which those happens, not spread equally amongst those 7 groups. Some of them, are heavy users, and others as few as 11 times a year. There are 17 groups identified by the general manager in his report to us who do their own setups. And these 17 groups have about 587 events per year. The indoor recreational leagues have fees, but as far as I know, general manager can correct me if I'm wrong, but we just talked about this the other day. But none of the money collected is specifically allocated towards the operational costs of the facility. In general, I think it's fair to say that for the recreational leagues and so forth, they pay for the refs and whatever, but they don't. There's no money going back into the cost of the facility. The same is true for classes, and there are probably a half dozen, 7 of those per year. And just to complete it, there's a current fee for storage that ranges from $56 to $220 a year. Now, as far as cost, the estimated annual operating costs for the new facility are $132,000 per year. That is, the estimated annual operating cost for the new community hall is $132,000 a year. Okay.
I have that.
The old cost, I think Tom included it. No, it's lower.
It was 109,000 net loss.
Yeah, well, cost.
Net loss. There was some income.
Not that cost.
Well, I'm sorry. Now, what he's saying is net loss. What Marty is saying is that there always has been some income.
Yeah, there was some income. There was, the pavilion was rented a couple times.
And there will be for the new hall, too. I mean, even under the current policy, there will be some income from users, just not anybody in this room. But
we can make this meeting short if everybody's already decided that we're not going to take advisement from the director about the fees and just throw it out.
Well,
You don't have to go through all this. Everybody
We
go,
can't hear you.
yeah.
Can you give him a mic? We cannot hear him.
Okay.
I said,
We can't see you.
What I said-
Stand up. We can see it.
sure. What I said was, if we're going to vote no fees, which the assumption is the way our president's talking, why spend all night talking about it? Call the question, go with
Well,
it.
I think. Would you like to call the question? There is no question.
Yeah, there is no question.
There is no question, so I can't call one. And you guys just don't get to make one. I mean, that's.
You can take a straw vote.
But we could take a straw vote, but if you don't mind, I'd like to continue.
Sure.
Because it's very short. All costs are paid by the membership currently, with the small exception of personal use type things and non-residents. All costs are paid by the membership and annual dues. Now the questions. Big question, should the users of these facilities, who represent a minority of the members, pay some fee to defray a portion of the actual cost? And that was the question, the basic question that's been brought up.
The majority and the minority.
Well, there are 8,440 homes in Ocean Pines. More than at least half of them are people who do not live here year-round. And it is safe to, and never have. It's always been that way. Quite true. I mean, it's exactly right. But let me say, I mean, that's the fundamental question, and what Marty's saying is, if we simply say, look, we don't really need to do this, then, but I personally have read everything you've written. There's 2 sides to that question. There really is. And, I know how you feel, but, and I think it's the obligation of this board to relook at these things. It's our responsibility to examine and question the assumptions that everybody's been made, no matter how long those assumptions have been made. Mark.
If I may, What surprises me is that this is a surprise. When this referendum was mailed out to every single member for the building that was eventually not built because of the 38% cost overrun, under the question, other costs associated with the new building, it states, such increases, however, will be offset by increased revenues from user fees charged for recreational programs and social activities. The community hall before that, I'm going back now to March 2000, people in this room sat on this committee. It says on page 16, user fees will certainly be needed to offset the operating cost of any new facility. There's even a couple of people in this room, I think, who served on the 1993 community hall. And this is an important, page 20, fees and charges. Capital costs of the building facility would be the responsibility of all association members. Everybody agreed. The membership voted $1,750,000 capital cost to build this facility. Second, the expense of operating the recreational center should be the responsibility of the users of the facility. Why is this a surprise? It is not.
Well, certainly it is.
No. If I give you a Cadillac, you want me to put the gas and oil in it?
Let's,
Mr. President.
Okay.
everybody that bought it here wanted a community center.
That's not true. I've lived here 30 years and I've only been there for meetings of the board.
Too bad.
No, because you don't do it, nobody else could.
Hey, one
I just have
at a time. I'll
one
recognize
comment,
it.
and everybody will get their chance. 3 years ago, all of us, for one reason or another, suffered through $150 extra assessment. And that assessment primarily was for us to build up enough of the reserves, mainly to build a new community center. Our new community center is up. It's going to open in about maybe 3 weeks or so, 4 weeks, and it's beautiful. It's also been paid for by everybody in this room. Now, the fee schedule, wait a minute, it's my turn, Elvis. The fee schedule that has been proposed says that if we initiate that fee schedule, we could come up with maybe $50,000 a year. In my opinion, if we initiate that fee schedule, nobody's going to use the new community center. Hence no $50,000 a year. As far as I am concerned, with the exception of locker storage space, because we would not want everybody in the community to use the locker.
That's fine.
I don't believe one single dime should be charged to any individual person or group for the use of a facility that we've already bought and paid for.
Raise our assessment if you have to.
I can say from personal experience that there are those who do object to raising the assessment, and they are not few, actually, in number. Does anybody else from any other board members? Okay.
The board members don't have an opinion on this? I find that interesting.
Well, I do.
Yeah, Marty does. Marty does.
How about the rest?
Marty does and Ray does. By the way, we received just a few days ago the report from Tom. I summarized it very quickly today, and the board hasn't even seen the summary. We've already read the emails, and we responded to some of them, and we've asked questions back of some of the people that sent the emails. And I'm telling you that these are reasonable questions. There are two sides to this story. Now, however you may feel, there really are. And it's our responsibility to think it out.
What are the questions that are coming back at us? Blowing smoke right now.
What are the questions that are go ahead.
For one, first off, did any director see more than 12 emails? That's how many I got. Did anybody see more than that?
I didn't.
I'm sure we could. We gotta do.
I didn't
all the-
count. I didn't count. It was as many as I've ever received on any
Okay,
subject.
so we have 12. I personally answered 10 of them. Because the other two I just got.
What part of the operating expenses for the new community hall are devoted to housing, parks and rec?
Amen.
There's heating and air conditioning. You have to heat it and air condition it because they're moving into their new digs.
That's very true.
If you look at this recommendation that we've gotten from the general manager, best case scenario on his first cut, which I don't think's, no offense, man, not really good, is about $41,000 offset. So Parks and Rec is paying the rest. Just like they've been paying the 109 at the building we've been looking at before.
Could we hear from somebody?
What did the manager recommend?
The manager did not make a recommendation. What he did was he did what he was instructed to do, which was to come up with a straw man fee schedule. I mean, you have to start someplace. You can't, and a straw man's fee schedule, which did not include his recommendation to do it. That's up to the board. But basically, it was to give us information as to how much money we're really talking about. Okay, so for this particular schedule, which could be adjusted one way or another, the number is $41,000 in offset costs. Is it?
You have maintenance men there cleaning anyway. You're paying them a yearly salary for cleaning and what they do at the community center. Are you going to pay them more to set up and clean up for community organizations?
No.
It's hard to say. At 157 events per year, set up and break down for each event, 157, then the time is not insignificant.
So you're already paying maintenance, you're already heating and air conditioning the building. I don't understand what these other fees are when Garden Club has a meeting there. What the other expenses are.
To administer
Wait, what
a fee
is it?
schedule, hire people to handle all his bookkeeping, and send out letters and everything to organizations. Have you considered that as an estimate, as you have, how much it would cost to maintain that building?
Well, sir, if you forgive me, you're talking as though we've already made up our mind about something.
right.
What we're doing.
You had an estimate how much it would cost? How about an estimate on extra labor, materials to administer your fees?
Give us some facts, give us something.
Wonderful idea. Who
What-
dreamed this up?
What we're doing is gathering the facts and getting that information
Somebody must
as
have
best we
dreamed it
can.
up, though.
That would be me.
That would be
I put the motion forward, and I don't apologize for it. The motion was for the board of directors who voted for the motion to instruct the general manager in conjunction with the Parks and Rec Department to establish fair and reasonable rental rates for each space at the community center, to include all available storage. Once established, these rates will be voted on by the board at the June meeting, which is behind us because we got behind. Let me ask the one person that said we already have a secretary, we already have heating and air. Tom, tomorrow let's make the swimming pools and golf course free. We already have staff there.
Could we hear from some of the other directors besides Marty, who definitely purchased?
Let me,
A lot of new members.
Sales of wax.
some folks have asked for some numbers of what kind of numbers we're talking about. The general manager put together a straw man, as Davis said. He has estimated a total revenue of $41,400. It's broken down as follows. One of the charges, current charges, we already have it, is for storage over there, for those groups that have to keep stuff stored over there
That's a separate
for their thing.
It's a separate issue.
Those storage fees will probably go up.
Okay.
He's estimated they would go up to $300 per storage unit. And that would bring in a revenue of $3,000 a year.
How big would a storage unit be?
How big are they? 4 foot by 5. Yeah. No, 64. 4 by 5 foot is what I'm told. Because we're putting in a brand new, very expensive kitchen over there, he's recommended that we charge for use of the kitchen at $100 per hour.
Stop it. Who paid us your kitchen?
And the estimate is, well, paying for the kitchen doesn't turn the electricity on to the stove. But at any rate, or cleaning it up after everybody's used it. But the fact is that would only bring in another $3,000 a year.
That's Martin.
He's also recommended charging.
Can we just?
Let me run through all of these things.
Everybody
and then we'll
can
talk
talk
about them.
If it takes all night.
He's recommended that we charge for our labor when we have somebody go in there and set up tables and chairs and so on for individual meetings. When you have one group who wants big long tables, banquet tables, another group wants round tables, etc., he has to put an employee over there to do it and send somebody over afterwards to change it. That recommendation would bring in $16,525.
How much per meeting, please?
It's about 30.
It depends on the meeting.
Give us numbers. Come on, you must have numbers there.
All right, for instance, the Pine Tones, he's saying 52 times a year at 3 hours apiece.
And so how much would Pine Tones get charged then?
According to
It's 30
this,
an hour.
52 setups. That's one a week. That's a setup and a breakdown. That would take a total of 3 hours.
We don't meet 52 weeks a year.
Well, all I'm giving you is an estimate that was given to us.
Keep going.
At any rate,
It's 30 an hour, if you do the math.
30 an hour.
yes.
That's why my math.
Are you paying this man $30 an hour? Because if you are, I want a job.
I want the job too.
You know, that's the reason here. You want the building, why should you pay extra for the building to use it?
Walk us through. You got a bunch of volunteers, Tom.
And Mr. Swalke, what is your opinion of the fee schedule? Are you for it or against it?
Chili
I'm against it.
making decorations to beautify the community, and we serve chili afterwards, you're going to charge us to use the kitchen while we are making arrangements at Christmas to beautify the entire community.
What I'm trying to read to you is a proposal, a straw man that the general manager put together at the request of the board of directors. This is not something that has been voted on, nor
is it going to be voted on tonight.
There are also revenues in here, for instance, $6,000 for leagues. There's revenues in here for classes that are conducted in here by Parks and Rec, and people pay tuition for those classes and so on. The grand total is $41,400. Of that total, only about 16 to 17,000 of it is actual charges to groups. In other words, individual clubs and so on, only amounts to 16 or 17,000 of that total. The rest of it is for classes, for storage, for leagues, indoor leagues and that kind of thing, basketball leagues, et cetera, et cetera. So we're not talking a great deal of money here.
But it's a great deal of ill will.
Let me make a point here.
It's a great deal of ill will.
This level of revenue, 17,000 versus a cost of 132,000, is going to create an awful lot of discontent
Yes.
for damn little income.
Yes.
Could I make a comment? Could I make a comment?
Yes.
Since you raised your hand, you certainly may.
One of the problems we've got is a lot of these clubs and organizations do a lot for Ocean Pines. Now let me talk about the boat club. Okay, the boat club spends between $15,000 and $18,000 a year on functions through the food operation, through banquets, through food purchase, and so forth. In addition, over the last 5 years or so, the boat club spent a great deal of money putting a plan together and designing an improved boat ramp facility, and we virtually doubled the amount of space in that area. The prints were all done, the engineering was done. If you had hired Soulé to do that, you would pay $30,000 to $40,000. In addition, over the years, 2 times members of the boat club and other groups from boating went through all the canals, purchased equipment, and did depth surveys to find out what kind of dredging was going to be necessary. If you'd hire somebody to do that, it would probably be $70,000, $80,000. These groups, we also donate for the concert series. So a lot of these groups are doing a great deal for Ocean Pines, and it seems like a little bit of space so they can have their meetings and discuss some of these things they want to do. It certainly should be in order at no cost. Okay?
I don't think there's a person at this table that doesn't recognize the value of what the clubs and the service groups contribute to Ocean Pines.
Are you saying you got your minds made up already about what you're going to do? Because I don't think you're
No, it's not.
this gentleman.
No, it isn't. It isn't. You know, maybe some of it, I can't speak for myself, but mine isn't.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Might I offer a suggestion that we put this question
To a straw vote?
to, not only to a straw vote, but to put it on the agenda for the regular meeting coming up, and we take a vote and
At the regular meeting?
Yes.
At the next regular?
Yeah.
Oh, I-
No, tonight.
Do that correctly, we should never practice.
Well,
How much more information?
First off,
I think we can.
we're charging
We can't do it yet. Can't do it yet. We gotta have our regular meeting.
A vote on what?
There is no motion on the table.
There's
No motion on the table, it was a suggestion.
We can make a motion to amend the agenda of the regular meeting, and we can make a motion to do this. Or we can take a straw man vote right now and discontinue the subject. Either
These
one.
people built this building, I think we're entitled to know where you guys stand.
That's right.
Quit playing games with us.
We'll take this.
Okay, let me say something, okay? First of all, we're not playing games with anybody, okay? Because
Then
we
give
don't.
us some answers.
Wait a minute, we did not have a secret meeting and discuss this. We are required to discuss this here. Individuals discuss it one-on-one. We are not allowed to meet in private and discuss this. So we do not come with a previous.
Cut it out,
Now,
will you?
no, just a minute. I'm not gonna cut it out, I'm talking, okay? Now, it's important for us to look at the numbers and examine what we're doing with the new community center. The issue really came to light when it came to the storage situation. We had to get a decision on the storage situation because we're putting in $13,000 worth of shelves and things like this. And we need to decide who is going to, first of all, be allowed to use those storage facilities, because people have been using them for years and years and years, and some of the use doesn't make sense, okay? I mean, why shouldn't the Veterans Memorial get a chance to use a free storage area? Why does one political party, wait a minute, why does one political party allowed to use one and the other one's not, because the other one came first? So I mean, those are things we got to look at, and that pushed this thing to look at, okay? And then what should the charge be? Now, also the issue of free meeting space has been discussed and thrown out over the years, and it's time to put it to bed, in my opinion. All right. Now, the current policy is, and although it's not written, current practice is that any community organization can use, it's a nonprofit type thing, can use the meeting spaces for free. Well, that is defined by any organization with at least 10 people, 60% of whom are members of Ocean Pines. Okay? All right, now, because of a lot of money here involved, it seems that we ought to look at the numbers and what's fair. Now, please don't react here. I'm going to tell you something about what's fair. What is fair? What makes sense? Okay? Does it make sense that the 44,000 members who don't live here should pay for those who do live here and use the facility? Okay, wait a minute. We have to look at this. Does it make sense for my daughter who doesn't live here or my sister who doesn't live here, who are members, to pay? Okay. All right. Well, look what's fair. Okay, now, is it fair for everyone to pay? That's the question. Okay. Now, but how? Let's say that everybody should pay a little bit. What type of particular function should you pay for? For example, what events? Should people that use it more frequently pay a higher rate than those who don't? Should the size of the people pay? If it's a 100-man person, should they pay more than a 10-person? Okay. How about senior rates? Oh, how about junior rates? So anyway, what we're saying is that we looked at this thing and we're looking at it, and we're not playing games. We're trying to figure it out. I have come to my conclusion. My conclusion is there's no fair way for everybody to set up a user fee, and I'm going to vote that we don't charge a user fee for. But it disappoints me that you'll have to come here to make a lot of noise to convince me, because that doesn't convince me of anything. I looked at it from the way I look at it, and I'm going to do it no matter what you all say.
Are there any residents here, or I should say members who are non-residents? Anybody? Anybody at all? Nobody? Nobody in the room is a non-resident.
I
Okay.
speak as someone who was a non-resident for 13 years.
Well, I was a non-resident for more than that, but that's okay. You can speak too.
I was a non-resident for 13 years, and my husband and I voted yes for every community center thing that came along, with the exception of the one that had the auditorium with the sloped floor. That was the only one we didn't vote for. We felt that when we bought into this organization, we were part of it, whether we lived here or we didn't live here.
Well, yes, okay, let's have, I'd like to see this later right there. No?
I just would like to go on record. I'm Nancy Welsh, and I'm the president of the Pioneer Craft Club. And I just wanted to give you a number. Between 1997 and 2009, Pioneer Crafts has donated $69,229 to this community. The amount of rent that we pay for storage in the community hall, and it does not include the amount of the rent that we pay for our craft shop. So I just wanted to make sure that I gave you the number of $69,229, and I think that's significant.
Speaking as a numbers guy, to think about, there's a donation. I know that Kiwanis gives donations, the Golf Club gives donations, and I'm sure there's a lot of others do it. If you're looking at it as a bean counter, what basically happens is if you're getting, say, $8,000 a year now, and you're going to charge these groups $3,000, you're going to get $5,000, because they're not going to give it to you. And then they're going to turn around and say, well, if I don't give them the $3,000, why should I give them anything at all? So your goal here is that you're going to have, at best case, the same amount of beans in a jar if you charge a fee. You'll have less if the organizations decide not to give you any. And now you have ticked off every organization.
There is I've detected there is a certain emotional factor involved here, yes. There was a lady right back there. No, you don't have your hand up anymore. Yes, now you do. Okay. I miss you before.
Legally, according to Joe Moore years ago, when we talked about having a certain amount you had to pay to maintain the yacht club food services, like most country clubs you pay $40 a month or whatever. He said we could not do to the people that live here what we couldn't do to the people who live in Texas. Everybody that had a property here charged a fee for dining at the country club or whatever, and you didn't eat, you still got that charge, no matter where you live. And legally, we couldn't do it. Because we wanted to have a minimum you had to spend at the yacht club. Joe Moore said we couldn't do it.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
Hi, I'm Darlene Musitano, and I represent the Garden Club here tonight. And we, like the Craft Club, have given money to various functions of the Ocean Pines. This is a slap in the face to all the organizations that work for the Pines, that try to make this a beautiful, wonderful place to live. I know the Garden Club has had 3 wonderful luncheons this year, January, April, and June, at the Yacht Club. And Joe, where are you? They were great. Thank you. We appreciated them. But, you know, I think if this is going to leave a bad taste in organizations' mouths, I don't know if we're going to rush back to the Yacht Club to say, hey, let's have our next luncheon there, if we're paying $30 an hour for that community hall. You may actually be losing money. It's a slap in the face. It really is.
Well, it might be that the decision to make, but investigating, I'll have to argue, looking into that, I mean, investigating, you know, what we should do about these costs, I don't think this should be a slap in everybody's face. And I have to say, too, we've got a lot of emails that have said, well, itemized how much was contributed to this thing or that thing and whatever. But there are some clubs on this list that I think, although they might not contribute anything of monetary value, are just as important. And,
yes.
And from a community spirit, I mean, how do you quantify an Al-Anon for a group, for an example? Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I think we all understand that. I mean, there's no question about it. But again, you know, it's still up to us to look at the basic fairness for everybody and to say, yeah, but that's true, okay, but does everybody, and how many people here are from out of town? I mean, anybody? I mean, nobody. I mean, you're represented by the people who all have an interest and live here all the time. So it's our responsibility to look at it. I mean, we come out in assessment time and we say, okay, here's how much your increase is going to be. And by the way, here's what it's going to be for the next 5 years. And we listen and we take a lot of heat from a lot of different people. And we do the best we can to reduce our costs. And it's our responsibility to look at these things. And it's your responsibility to push back, which is exactly what you're doing tonight. This is a good discussion in my mind. And it should be, come on.
Might I then place for on the agenda? I'm sorry. Might I place, I'm sorry. I turn it on. I want to place, if I may, on the agenda for this evening, this question so we can call a yay or nay and put this thing to bed.
He has a right to do it regardless. I got this 2 days ago.
We'll vote that on the at the start of the regular meeting for amendments to the.
Okay.
I think you got 2 issues here. One is the storage fees, which I think is separate and distinct from the charging the fees to the clubs, etc. However, I do have a question. Everybody that's so far spoken tonight is clearly against doing this. Is there anybody in the audience here who agrees that we need to charge these fees? I'm just curious.
Just an observation. When you're making these decisions, and it's important that you do make these decisions, but do you take in consideration which portion of our amenities are used by non-property owners and non-residents, as opposed to the residents? When you look at, I know instances where, for example, folks who have memberships in the pool were not allowed access to the pool because they were crowded and coupons were given to people who bought coupons. people that were visiting the area, not necessarily even the community, filled up the pool and they didn't have access to the pool. Now, when you're making decisions about the fee structure, are you, and I know these figures are available, I mean, they tick off whether you're a resident or you're a non-resident. I know folks that come into the community with 4 and 5 children, and I'm not saying that they should be denied access to the facilities, but I am saying that when you make these financial decisions, are you taking that into consideration? For example, a coupon for the pool for a non-resident, non-property owner costs $1 more than for a property owner. But do you take that into consideration is my question when you're making these decisions about fee structures and the memberships to the various clubs and so forth.
I didn't get any, I didn't see anybody that was in favor of.
I have comments. No, George.
Well, I'm not going to deny you the comment.
Me about that.
Oh, okay.
She has the mic.
I'm sorry, I took the mic. Couldn't wait anymore. I'm a former president of the association. I find the tenure of the new board money conscious more than people conscious.
Yeah.
I find you all have your own opinions, which is very good. But you all represent us. And there are many of us here that do not want any fees on the community center. We want it like when we bought our property here. Many of us were 10 years before we came here, and we paid and we expected to have it like it was. I find it very hard to believe that this community is changing their orientation to money and not to people. And I think you all will see now there are many of us here that do not want the community center fees. I think even if you vote for it, there will be a referendum by many of the people in the Pines to outlaw you. So listen to us, and please remember this is a fantastic community, and money is not all that there is. Thank you.
In the back, please.
Thank you. I've been up for.
I know.
I'm treasurer of the Quilt Guild, and I spoke with our president yesterday at length about what we should do. At the fee structure, that's what we didn't know. What was the fee structure going to be? At $30 an hour, with the number of hours we spend, it would cost us between $1,200 and $1,500 a year. We don't have that kind of money. And when I spoke with Joanne Massey, who's president, she said if the fee is reasonable, we could, support the group. But I don't think $30 an hour, when the cost was told to her to be set up, taken down, and a brushing of the floor, is reasonable. That's $60, $75 every time we come in, and that's, to me, not reasonable for the group. And we just don't have that kind of money to pay.
You did say something, though, partially in answer to John's question, which is if the fee is reasonable, you could support it.
But I want you to think about what reasonable means. I don't know anywhere $30.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. But again, the intent of that, of Tom's paper, which he, by the way, in defense of Tom, did somewhat reluctantly. Tom doesn't get a vote on this board, but let it be known that he is not necessarily in favor of doing this.
Very influential.
And he is not in favor of doing this. So, but he did what we asked him to do. His intent was to show it to the board, get it discussed in an open meeting as we're doing, and then go back to the committees with it and work out what it actually would be if the board voted in favor of it, the concept to begin with. And that's what we're trying to do.
What happened?
We may end it tonight. So
What happened
please
to
don't
the
shout
motion?
out. We have, sir, the motion will come as an amendment to the agenda of the regular meeting.
Which comes up after this.
There is no motion.
There is no motion at the present time. The way we do business, we have this discussion meeting, and then we have a regular meeting at which there will be no discussion other than the public comments, and we will entertain a motion to amend the agenda, and then when we come to that portion of the agenda, we will hear the motion and vote on it. Dutch.
What I want to say to you people, the most of you people went along with the new community hall, right? We had a say in it. How many people went along with what we call the swimming pool? We had no say in it.
Nobody went along?
Nobody, no. The management. This is it. The management is ready to pay $200,000 a year on that couple swimming pool. But we people want to use the community hall, we have to pay. You understand what I'm saying? We have no say. A lot of people don't want that swimming pool covered. And there's only a few people who go and swimming over there. It's a disaster.
You know how much
When
we pay
I
to
am
use that?
wait a minute,
I
I'm
pay
talking. I am talking.
Okay, let's
talking. You can talk after I talk.
Okay, address the board, Dutch.
All right, you talk after me. I got the floor. Okay, remember that. As what I'm running on the board to get elected, we got the whole management. I cannot see that we got signs on the street that call people to get in all swimming pools, and then we have to pay for the damn community hall. This is ridiculous. My problem is the management. This man is looking out for himself.
Well, the issue, Dutch, that we're discussing
Okay, you heard my
is
issues.
the fees.
You heard my issues.
The
We have to
fees.
pay for the community hall.
The topic
We're losing
under
$200,000 on the swimming pool.
The topic under discussion, Dutch, is the community hall fees, or the lack thereof, in the back.
I'm Carol Cornack, and I'm president of the local AARP chapter. And I need to say that we're not a money-raising group, so we would not be able to pay fees. However, we provide a distinct service to the community by our tax program, whereas, I don't know if any of you gentlemen know, but our volunteers do free tax service to the members of this community several months out of the year. And we also provide a dial-a-ride. Our person for dial-a-ride is right up there in the cervical column. And we provide free service to doctor's offices, to Salisbury, or wherever people need to go. You don't have to be a member of AARP. So we are strictly a volunteer organization. We have a little money, but our dues are $3 a year. So we just don't be able to afford it. That's all I have to say.
One more. Let's go. Karen?
I think you've heard tonight how we feel. This is a very generous, very community-oriented organization. And I just cannot fathom why you want to create all this ill will through fees that cannot possibly offset the amount of donations and the goodwill that you are going to lose in this community and drive yet a further wedge between us and the board. And I think you really need to rethink this. It is not all about dollars and cents. It's about community spirit, which we are here to support.
Thank you.
Linda.
Obviously, we're going to have to spend money on the operating costs. It's going to cost money for...
Stand up, please.
I am standing. I don't use money. We're going to have to pay money to take care of the community center, the maintenance, the operating costs. $130-some thousand a year? Is that what you're saying? Where's the money going to come from? Is it going to cause us to have increased assessments.
Yes.
And what everybody's going to pay.
Yes.
So
Yes.
down the road, when you raise the assessments, people don't want you to raise the assessments. Somebody has to pay for the costs. Maybe $5 a year for every lot to cover all the fees for the community center. Just an across the board. I don't know, Marty. I'm just saying.
$16.50.
Okay, well, if you do that,
$15.60.
if you do $16.50 and you let everybody know that the assessments are going up next year so that everybody can use the community center free,
Well,
wouldn't that resolve the issue?
to be fair, the assessments actually won't go up by the 1560 because we're already paying, I mean, a good portion of that had been for the old community center.
But you're gonna have
So,
to do
so it's
something.
they would, I mean, the amount that it'll go up, or goes up $21,000, which comes out to about $3, something like that.
Well, you need,
And that, I mean, $3 more, that's not really the issue.
well,
And
the
it's not
issue is.
It's not the issue at all.
It is an issue,
Yeah.
Dave, because you're gonna say to me, Linda, next year we're gonna raise the assessment. I don't belong to any clubs. I don't do anything, and I don't go to the pools. I don't go to the yacht club anymore. I don't wanna pay a user fee, but if all these people need to be able to go to the community center. And they've been here a long time, and they don't wanna pay a fee every time they go. So just give everybody a fee and say, this is it, across the board, and be done with it.
Yes.
Okay, you're saying, what you're saying is,
Small addition to
A small addition to the
Yeah.
assessment
Yeah.
to cover the operating costs.
continue to take it out of the general assessment.
Yes.
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 I know everybody else's, I just
But
want
you're
to,
gonna have
I want to make sure I
know.
answered Linda's point.
I know I'm going to get an increase in the assessment because somebody's got to pay that $130,000.
But we
That's true.
pay.
You have been paying most of it already, and you would be paying a little bit more this
So
time.
if we're going to pay a little bit more, then just charge everybody across the
And
board.
be frank, with, with some of the other issues that we have, I mean, that little bit more isn't really at the top of
Well,
the
if you're
list of
telling-
things to worry about.
Dave, if you're telling these people you want $30 an hour, and the quilting people don't want to pay $30 an hour, charge everybody the same amount.
Yeah, not the
Call it
users,
a fee for the community
for
center.
the community.
Right, and then nobody can say anything.
Well, that's what it has been, and that's what it would continue to be if we voted not to do anything about that. Dick?
As usual, I wasn't going to say anything tonight.
Use the mic, please.
Which mic? I said, as usual, I wasn't going to say anything tonight, but I got excited again. It's obvious that charging nonprofit organizations that are part of Ocean Pines, the 77 clubs that we have running around here, charging them is not going to fly. Accounting background says if you had additional incremental cost, maybe, if you had to do a cleanup. I'm part of the Ocean Pines Anglers. We don't even use this facility here. When the facility we do use, we all are responsible for our own setup and cleanup. And I think most of us know how to do that. Marty talks about, that we're talking about the new community center to be supported by user fees. I want to remind you, when that information was put out, they were trying to sell a new community center also. Right. Because everybody's saying, what's it going to cost us? What's it going to cost us? I think it's a little ludicrous that we're sitting here now. I think you all have the message. But you got to not beat this board up too bad. I see a lot of faces that don't normally get to these types of meetings here tonight, and I wish I'd seen more of them because you could represent like 30 or 40 of your other friends. But what happens is this board at least has had open sessions, work sessions to discuss these matters. Our previous boards didn't discuss them, just like Dutch was saying. They would make a motion, they would vote it, and then afterwards you had public comment to say, I don't like what you just did. So give these guys a little break in that respect. But you all, this is not going to fly. And the only thing we're going to do, whoever...
You think?
I might mention this to Marty, that there was an airline recently that wanted to have Boeing reconfigure their airplanes to charge for going to the bathroom on a plane. Now, personally, I would have taken that guy and never considered that proposal. I would have thrown him out of the boardroom, okay? Just, it's ludicrous. So it's the same thing here is all I'm trying to say, is that if you all go ahead with this, there's a referendum group started right there. That's going to cost us $8,000 to $16,000 to say this is crazier than hell.
Yes, it is.
Okay, has anybody got anything really new to add or additional to add? Because otherwise we can move to adjourn this meeting. And if so, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Dave,
Yes. Was there? Okay, I'm sorry. There's Gail. She got it in time.
Gail.
I'm sorry. We've heard from a lot of people out here, and we've heard from 4 of the members up there, but we haven't heard from the rest of the board. And this is supposed to be a work group to discuss this. So could we hear from the rest of the board? What do the board members think? All of the board members, please.
Well, that's where I think that's where the vote comes in, Gail. Any board members with these, and I was against it, and I'm still against it. But on the other hand, I think in deference and respect to Director Clark, it's a question that has a right to be asked and a right to be discussed. And for the reasons. I mean, I know, the strong opinions that are in this room. But I'll tell you what, this room doesn't represent all of Ocean Pines. It doesn't. I mean, it represents a lot of members and it's important. But I think what we have to do, I mean, we have a right to discuss it, come to an opinion, try and get as many facts as we can, and come to a vote. Okay, so, I mean, again, that's where I stand on the matter. I have for a long time, so I can't exactly, nothing I've seen has changed my mind. But.
Gail, as you asked, and I probably haven't said very much on it. I don't know how much needs to be said. I think Marty did the right thing in asking the basic questions. We always have to look where we've been and where we're going. I tend to disagree with you when you said money, we're becoming a money organization. We must look at the money, because every time we come out with an assessment, we get hacked. I don't care what board it is, we get hacked. So we must look at that. And I always told my people, there's no such thing as a free 1-800 number. Somebody pays. We are a community, and if we work together as a community, then it is not a big deal. We all pay our fair share, whether it be for the community hall, whether it be for the golf club, the swimming pools, etc. But we just can't focus just on the community hall. We've got to look at the whole package, because if we're a community, then we have to look at all our amenities as a community. We have a choice. Sit over here. I don't use any of them. However, I do not mind paying for them. I know what I came in for. So, no, I'm not in favor of charging the clubs. I think you all do a marvelous job. However, just remember, when Dave comes out next year with an increase in fees, please understand, we're a community, and we as a board are trying to do the best. And as was said over here, we do listen, we read the emails, we respond to 99.9% of them, and it's a hell of a tough job on these members here to come up with a vote that satisfies everybody. I'm just proud to heck to see this group out here. I wish there were some people in this group that dissented, that had the other side. Because you know what? There are people who don't want to pay for it. They want to charge you all. I've had people come up and tell me that. But the bottom line is, I think we ought to take it off the table, except for the storage fees. Unless you want that?
Outside users.
Well, that goes without saying.
Okay. I suppose I'm the only board member that hasn't said anything about it. But as most of these fellows know, I've said plenty about it, because we have task force meetings, we have all kinds of committee meetings, and we work ourselves a lot for you folks. I think it's great that you're here, and I hope that now that you have been able to find us, that you'll come back to some other meetings. Some of these things that go on here, these meetings, require an awful lot of time and energy. When I came in here tonight, there was no motion on the board, in front, to vote on user fees. That word got out, you folks heard about it, you came, and that's fine. There was no motion like that. The motion was to consider them and to have the general manager give us a straw man of what those fees might be. And we got that this week. I have no problem with a vote of any kind if you want to have one in the next meeting. I'm not for it. I'm not in favor of it either. But you have to understand why we're here. It wasn't to just impose fees. It was just to consider things. Amen.
Thank you. Yeah, this is, may I, Mr. President, this is what I could like to recommend.
Yes.
Why don't we get to the meeting?
Let's get to the meeting and let's do it.
Well, but see, these people, they have to hang around.
Well, it's gonna take.
It'll take
10
very,
minutes.
very little
All right,
time,
okay,
and if they,
all right.
you know, we have to hang around, you have to hang around. Let's make a motion to adjourn, and if I can have that, Ray?
Motion to adjourn.
Second? Second. The meeting's adjourned. We'll take a very short 5-minute break. We'll start the next meeting. We will start the next meeting with a approval of the agenda, approval of minutes, and we'll amend the agenda for the motion. We will read the motion at that time, okay, and we will add it to the agenda, and then we have no old business, under new business, we will take the vote.
Can we move it up before the county commission report, general manager report comes out?
We can amend the agenda to do that too, at the same time. Okay.
How are you, sir? It's good to see you.
Bob, it's good to see you.
I went over Works, Dave.
Yeah, it does. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call the regular meeting to order. We'll start with the agenda. Are there any modifications to the agenda?
Yes. Mr. President, I'd like to make a modification to agenda for a motion.
All right, would you read the motion?
I would be glad to, sir. I move that the policy for charging fees for meetings and activities in the community center, payments by any center to be exclude. Wait a minute, I'm trying to read this right. Huh? No, let me get it right. We want to exclude nonprofit or include nonprofit organizations that they would. Now, let me read this right. Bill, I wrote mine. Let me read it. All right, Bill, you read it.
Yeah.
You wrote it.
Yeah.
And if you're different from mine, it's very simple.
And if you,
all right.
If you want, yeah.
Ray's going to move that the policy for charging fees for meetings and activities in the community center exclude fee payments by OPA community, nonprofit organizations, and groups. Now, this amendment, this amendment means that we still have to establish rates for private parties and, just a minute, and,
This is, by the way, the regular meeting. You all don't get to talk. You all don't get to talk.
And it doesn't address storage, so that's still an open issue. And we still, the practice for charging for private groups, profit-making groups and stuff will stay the same.
Bill?
Yes.
You need to strike the nonprofit. Not every organization has done all the tax paperwork.
I don't mean, we're not talking about a 501c3.
Yeah.
You need, but you're
It could
saying
be,
nonprofit.
but okay.
Operate as a nonprofit.
Okay.
Yes.
We understand the term nonprofit, and we can define it.
Can I help for a second on that? Why don't you say keep the practice?
Because it's not written.
It is written. It's written right here. We just got it.
Oh, no, that
Was there a second to the motion?
No, it hasn't been made. We'll
Hang
miss
on.
the agenda.
And please, let's keep the comments from, this is the regular board meeting.
Something
It's
about
our meeting.
policy, and there is no policy. So that can't be a change of the policy. There's no policy. Okay,
Yeah.
try it again.
It's established. Yeah, right now, Bill, if you want to work on that, we agreed, let's take a vote on amending the agenda. Now, okay, now, can we also amend the agenda to do this prior to reading the Commissioner and General Manager's report?
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Okay, I'll ask next for the approval of the minutes from the June 17th workshop, regular and closed meeting, which we all could see.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'll now defer the County Commissioner's report, General Manager's report, until we have a motion on the floor, which is almost coming.
I know about
Spit it out.
Okay, this is going to be, that I move that the policy be set for charging fees for meetings and activities in the community center exclude fee payments by OPA, community organizations and groups who operate in a non-profit-like manner. How's that?
I'll second that.
Discussion.
Discussion.
You know, we asked the general manager
Oh, brother.
to,
Then come on.
you know what?
Come on, there will be no
Can all
we
the
had
children-
plenty of opportunity to talk.
Okay,
This is business.
I think it would be beneficial, since most of these people don't normally come to a board meeting, it might be beneficial to explain what a workshop meeting is and then what happens with the board meeting and comments from the membership.
What we've done is we've amended the regular policy of the board meeting to try and get you to the point of interest as fast as we possibly can. In a workshop meeting, we discuss the things that are going to be moved in the board meeting so that everybody has an opportunity to tell us whatever they think, and we try and interact as well as we can with the people who are doing that. That's a new policy of this board. We've been doing it for the last 2 years. And if you all haven't been here before and you went to any other board meeting, you would have never seen this one happen before. But our regular board meeting is our meeting. It's the board, it's literally that. And it's for discussion amongst ourselves. There is an opportunity at the beginning, which we've deferred a little bit, of the regular board meeting for public comments, in which case you're limited to, you're allowed to talk about anything you want, and you're given 5 minutes to do it. And we will get to that after we dispose of this motion.
We were in discussion.
We were in discussion, Warren, sorry.
Okay, we asked the general manager to establish fair and reasonable fee structure for our consideration. I got it 2 days ago. You know, we've seen this happen with a couple of budgets. I mean, meaning federal budgets. I haven't had a chance to study it. I don't think we've given it a fair thought. I got 3 things. Second, I want to remind, you want me to use this?
Yeah.
I want to remind the board that not too long ago, there was a board meeting similar to this with a full room, packed, full of swimmers. And the board under the influence of the swimmers, passed a motion to build an indoor, or to enclose a swimming pool. Okay? Today, that swimming pool represents about a $170,000 swing in operating capital, or operating expenses, because everybody in the room wanted it. All right? We represent 8,440 members, and I think that part of this motion ought to admit openly that there's going to be a $15.70 cost based on this budget to every single member, whether they know where the community hall is or not.
Any other comments?
Let me ask the directors who made and seconded the motion, how are you going to address the storage fees and kitchen and those other fees, the leagues and the what was the fourth one? Anyway,
It's what happens.
if you're saying you're not going to charge groups that are not for profit, are you going to be able to charge them a storage fee?
The storage fee is, yeah, that's a separate issue. Should that be part of the motion?
Well, that's what I'm asking, is your motion so blanketed that it would preclude a storage fee?
My intent would be my intent initially is to have a complete blanket motion that no fees are to be charged for any Ocean Pines organizations, with the exception of the storage fees, which should remain the same or have a slight increase in it. Okay, that's what my rear.
Yeah.
No, this motion addresses fee payments for activities and meetings, okay? So, although I wish we could have resolved the storage issue today, I don't think we have the information on the table to do that, because I think we need a separate policy for the use of those storage facilities. For example, I think we need to make sure those people who are using the storage, or using it in the past and maybe using in the future, actually conduct meetings, and the things that are in those cages are actually being used in the community center itself. You know, we aren't a storage facility so we need to resolve that issue, and I don't think we're prepared to do that, although we need to do it in a hurry because the community center is going to open pretty soon.
I believe it's the board's intent to not create any types of new charges for use of the meeting rooms. There has been a series of charges that have existed for some time now for things like extra size classes with an instructor, or babysitting classes and kickball leagues or dodgeball leagues in the gym and things like that. It's not your intention to eliminate those. It's to not create any new fees for use of the community rooms.
That's true, but I think the motion as stated does that. I think it's both the intent and the actual wording of the motion. Any other comments from the board?
What about groups that charge people to come to their thing? I mean, the players aren't here anymore, but they charge money for people to come in the door. Step Ups charges money for people to come in the door. I mean, they have money that's going somewhere. Shape Ups, Step Ups, whatever it is.
There are, okay, again, not from before. There are groups that charge fees and always have, and they in some cases they're paying for an instructor, or if it was a basketball league, they pay for referees.
Yeah, well, none of those things are going to change.
And none of those things are going to change. We're only talking about the room. So, any other comments? I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion signify by raising your hands. Aye. Against? Opposed?
Dr. No.
Okay. We will have 6 in favor, 1 opposed, and a motion to the secretary, please. And we will move on. Do we? 2 minutes for an exit. Okay, let's move on to the the county commissioner's report, which was submitted and for which there are copies. Yes, we did. Real quick, we did. The county commissioner's report was submitted by Linda Busick. I think we have copies available and have made copies available, and I won't go through it. She does have quite a lot of discussion about their meeting with with the roads officials on Maryland 589, and talks about the status of Walmart, just to mention that the Video Lottery Commission, the location committee of that commission, met over at Ocean Downs this afternoon and had a public hearing on it. There was a fair amount of public and a lot of officials, and myself and Director Unger and Tom Olson attended, just so we wouldn't have to read about it in the papers. But I can't report on anything of significance. Mr. Rickman made a presentation on what his intentions were and how he was going to change the building. Can we go to the general manager's report now?
My report starts with a membership report to the board. As of June 30th, and if you recall, May and June were particularly wet months this year, and they have certainly had an impact on our sales of memberships. We have 107 fewer beach club passes year to date, 262 fewer aquatics passes. We're actually up in tennis memberships by 10, by 10. And also we show decreases in coupon sales as well. Golf is behind by 16 memberships overall. Interesting data, I was reading in the paper where Ocean City had reported that their estimates for the July 4th holiday weekend were below last year. And I'd asked our Worcester County Water and Wastewater Authority to give us some flow rates that would enable us to estimate what our population here in the Pines was. As an example, Saturday, July 5th, showed our population, in 2008, showed our population of 19,386, and it was only 17,857 in 2009. So we're actually down on that particular day, and most of the other days as well for the July 4th weekend. Now here's the interesting thing. Despite fewer people, based on those estimates, the beach club sold almost $5,200 more over the holiday weekend this year, and the yacht club sold $6,400 more for the 3-day period this year as compared to the July 4th weekend last year. That was surprising to me, but it was actually a positive and good news thing in light of particularly in light of the way that our memberships have been slow this year. Next item, community hall update. Plumbing and electrical are finishing up. Landscaping is almost complete. Floor finishes, including carpeting and gym flooring, are expected to be installed between now and late August. The project remains well ahead of schedule and within budget. We've begun making preliminary plans for a grand opening celebration. The board had mentioned that, I believe it was last month, that we should make those plans around displays of our membership offerings, and we intend to do that. I'm going to be circulating a list of brainstorming ideas that we've done with our department heads, so you can get an idea of what types of displays would be there and some of the other activities that we'll be considering. So I hope to get that out to you in the next day or two.
Sure. Question?
I want to put you in the spot now. What weekend are we considering having the grand opening? So let me dance around that one. If it were up to me, it would be tomorrow. It would be next weekend. But the important part of this is that we will get this building completed. I would expect that building completed, as I mentioned here, late August. But once the building is completed, then we have to have all our final inspections done. After the final inspections are done, we receive a certificate of occupancy. We can't really open the building to the public until we get the certificate of occupancy. So I don't want to, at this point, be projecting a date. But I can say, here's the date. You all show up at the front door, and I'm sitting there saying, sorry, but you can't come in.
We've got our fingers crossed, and it'll be short, it'll be with, we should be completing everything in the next, I'd say 6 weeks or so, and then we'll see how well we do with our inspections, and then we can finalize those plans.
Can I make a recommendation that you plan on having a grand opening no later than 30 days after we receive our final inspection? Therefore, we put a mark on the wall.
And the CO. The inspection or the CO?
Certificate of occupancy.
All right, golf. Last month, the board approved our phase 3 of the drainage project on the golf course. We expected to begin in early August. The golf management team began notifying golfers of the changes in play that will be required as we get closer to the start date. And what I'm talking about there is last year we created a 19th hole, so that every time we have to take a hole offline, anyone that's playing our golf course can continue to play 18 holes while one hole is being upgraded. So we've also been making efforts in the marketing area. We've hosted get-togethers with the golf marketing packagers that are selling our course area, as well as area hotels, to showcase our equipment upgrades and familiarize sales personnel with the course features and the quality of our golf product. And as the shoulder season for the fall begins, we're hoping to see some benefits come from that. Skate park. Our newest amenity has shown high levels of activity, with over 480 skaters enrolled to date. Compliance with helmet requirements and registrations have been good, and users of the course have been pleased with the quality of the construction and the diversity of the challenges. So I look out my window every day and I see lots of kids using it, and it's good to see. It's heartwarming to see that. We've got, I think we've filled a need inside the community for an activity that some of those teenagers can use in a positive way. And older. Yeah, there's a few adults out there as well. Wood duct drainage. I think someone came to the last meeting and talked about what we were going to do with wood duct. We've prepared the bid specs and we've circulated them qualified contractors. We expect those proposals to be back in 30 days, and once they've been analyzed, I'll be presenting them to the board for the consideration. We've allocated $192,000 for that project this year. Road paving, I sent an email to the board some time ago saying that Worcester County had notified us the grant funds have been dramatically reduced in the budget that the county commissioners approved in June. Traditionally, those grant funds would be used for public safety as well as road and drainage projects. The shortfall is about $450,000 for this fiscal year. Management, staff, budget, and finance have concurred that 09 road paving would be postponed. We have just recently received some information on our bridges that may have us reconsider that, but we're analyzing those reports right now. The board asked that I update them on litigation cases, and Ocean Pines Association versus SPN. The case has been continued with the new trial date set for October 28th. OPA versus YMCA. We had a summary judgment hearing scheduled for July 16th. It has been postponed until November 25th, and that was done by the judge that would be hearing the case based on scheduling conflicts. And IRS update, there's been no change since the status of last month. We've got about a 90-day window to wait for motions, stipulation of facts in the case to be sent back and forth. I just mentioned the URS Corp bridges. The URS Corporation has submitted their final report. We've asked them to include estimates for life expectancy under two scenarios. One, if the bridge is repaired now, and then how much life we'll get out of the bridge before it has to be replaced. The second scenario would be if we replace the bridge now, how long it would last before we had to do something more to it. So that came in, I believe it was just yesterday or the day before. It's a fairly extensive report, and we're going to be reviewing that in the next few weeks. Tennis courts. We had scheduled repairs to both our tennis courts at the Swim and Racket Club, as well as the tennis complex at Manicomb Meadows. The courts 11 and 12 of the tennis complex have just been completed. Swim and racket are probably about, I'd say 65, 70% complete. And they're working on finishing those up within the next few weeks. In addition to that, one of the paddle courts that we had some surface condition problems on. We had the contractor down there looked at it, and the best solution appears to be paving and relining it rather than trying to reproduce the surface on the concrete, which was not holding up well. So we've done that. It came out pretty well, and so far I think I've had some positive reactions from those paddle tennis folks using that. Finally, last thing on my report is our website. At the beginning of July, we have unveiled our new website. The visitors to the site will see new graphics, upgrades, photos, and a fresh new look. I'd ask all members to check it out and give us their reaction to it. It was a lot of hard work on a lot of people's parts. Volunteer Joe Reynolds did a lot of the background work on it. Teresa Tavertello had worked extensively on getting all the content in, and IT Director Dave Schwarten did a yeoman's job at getting the whole thing set up and getting it online. Our website address remains the same, www.oceanpines.org, and those that have seen it already have been sending us some emails telling them how refreshing it is, the new look.
Tom, how much was in our budget originally for that website?
About $30,000.
How much of it did we end up spending?
Probably under $4 million.
Good job. Another question. The great weekend for the yacht club and the beach club. How are they on track the last year as a rule? I don't want to see a little teeny picture. How's the last 2 months?
As a rule, as I mentioned, May and June have been down. Art's completing the financials now, and I'll get them out to you as soon as they're done. But May and June were not good months. The weather would just killed us in every single event we have.
Everywhere in town. Last but not least, if I may, the road paving. Okay, there was, I guess, a decision made by management and staff and the Budget and Finance Committee concurred that we weren't going to do any road paving because of the 450 shortfall from county and state. But if the road report or the bridge report we got is even close to accurate, we've got a recapture of 494.2 there.
That's why I want to study that carefully and see if that's an option, because we certainly do want to consider that if it is.
Okay. On a budget adjustment of $450,000 of road repairs, doesn't that have to come back to the board as I read the rules? I mean, I would never vote to postpone road repairs. They're in the budget. We've got the money.
It certainly can come back to the board, Marty. I think we got to, I mean, you have it. I just distributed that report to you. I think it was either yesterday or the day before. It's got to be, each report's got to be 35 to 50 pages, something like that. So there's a lot of stuff to look at.
Yeah.
So let's digest it, make sure that the information is right. I think you do have to look at it again.
I'm not arguing that. This seems a fait accompli. We're not going to.
No. What my last manager's report said to you, heads up, the Worcester County Commissioners have notified us that we were going to be $450,000 shy of our budget for grants. Okay? And I said to the board, my initial recommendation is that we would hold off on road paving, but I'm going to ask the Budget and Finance Committee for their input as well. Okay? The board met middle of June, the Finance Committee met the week after that. They had concurred that was the right thing for us to do, and you know, today is what, July 15th, July 13th, I get a report from the bridges that we need to consider seriously, and I think that's the right thing to do.
What we're talking about here, I believe, is that we have about $850,000 in the budget for those two bridges, right?
800.
800? Okay, but so this could be a big boon to us, which means the money goes back into the road paving, and we still haven't heard back from the county on whether we're going to get stimulus funds or bridge funds to cover any costs happening. So there's still a lot to look at.
There's a lot to look at, and the first thing we ought to look at carefully is those bridge reports, because those bridge reports talk about that and the potential for that, those stimulus funds.
Okay. But there's, you were gonna cover 105 Sandy Hook for us again. You can do that now or later?
Can you do that later? I have the stuff here, but I don't have it right in front of me.
Not too much later. We've only have one other, we're moving on to new business. ARC violation. Was I missing something? I'm sorry.
Comments.
Public comments. Are there any public comments?
Yeah, I got one.
Take it. Dutch.
I want to address me to Ocean. The people there on Road Guide, they call for the grass in the ditches. You speaking here all what you do, but you do nothing for the ditches. One lady called, and two guys came. The half from the ditch they cleaned, not on the other side. Then the other guy called. They cleaned it and left everything laying. It was 5-6 foot high. If we people let the grass running 1 feet high, 2 feet, you send them to our house, we have to pay $75. They had not enough cent to come across the street and clean my ditch out. I want them to clean the ditch and I have a rake to clean that ditch out, not leaving the stuff laying over there, sir. When we get a big rainstorm, then my whole property is full of water. You'll have to be more attentive what happened in Ocean Pine. And I want them to see to clean the ditch with the rake.
Other public comment?
I have one.
Okay.
Today, I came in the north gate about 3 o'clock. And I,
Your name?
Norma Kessler. And I saw the new sign. And when I voted for the sign, based on what was in the newspaper, and they asked us to contribute what we thought, it showed and said a stone bottom, stucco top. I come in, and the base is a photograph of a stone bottom. Is that going to stay, or are you going to put real stone in there? And it wasn't what I voted for, and I understood that was what was approved, but it wasn't a photograph, which is, it's like a big plastic thing with a picture of stones, but it's not really stones.
Yeah. No, when you voted for that, you had the advertisements that we did and the pictures that we had up on the website said that these are depictions of what the general look will be.
Yeah,
now the sign itself has been installed. There still needs to be landscaping put around it and everything, but that's the way they manufacture it. We did not intend to put real stone around the bottom of it.
But that's the way it looked in what we voted.
Those are actually, those pictures that you're looking at came from the manufacturers that did it, so that's the way it looked.
I'm very disappointed, very disappointed.
Hi, Darlene Musitano. Those storage lockers that are going to be in the new community hall, I'm having trouble understanding this. $300 a year?
No.
No.
TBD.
What?
To be determined.
To be determined.
They haven't come up with the.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All we have now is a straw man.
And that's.
And what was the figure?
It was $300, but that was just something to discuss.
Okay, because I'm thinking $300 per organization times 10 is $3,000. Over a 40-year life expectancy of that building, $120,000 for use of those storage lockers, seems high.
I wouldn't debate the issue. I can, just as a matter of...
Right now, we pay $64.
As a point of information, the general manager commented under that he was basically trying to charge half of what the going commercial rates were for storage. That was his straw man thing. He said, okay. So, I mean, that's 50, yeah.
That was half of what the going rate is
Yeah, that's what
on the
I'm saying.
outside for similar type stores, so.
John?
Marge Desmond, I've written to you all many times regarding the swim and women and the fees that you're charging us. There are approximately 80 of us most of the time, half in the early group and half in the later group. And an awful lot of people are very upset about the terrible fees. Now, I'm just one person with one individual year-round membership for $350. And if you charge us the same thing in the winter that you're charging in the summer, I will be paying just for myself $710 to go to that pool and do the exercises. And we don't pay our instructor, she's a volunteer. So we're all hoping that we can convince you to think more clearly about those fees, because a lot of people can't afford that. You know, and even if you have a pool membership, you're still penalized. So we'd appreciate it if you think about it some more and get back to us. A lot of the girls think they're going to drop out if the fees don't drop. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, hi, Shirley Schaefer from Wood Duck 2. Mr. Olson, you said it was $192,000 for Wood Duck. Is that Wood Duck 1 or Wood Duck 2? I'm on Bluebill Court, which has the drainage problem.
Yeah, it's Bluebill Court.
Bluebill Court, and that should be, in your report, should be Wood Duck 2, not just plain Wood Duck. Because there's a 1 and a 2. Okay. Do you know when that's going to start?
No, what my report tells the board is that the bids are out, and that we're waiting for them to come back in the next 30 days. We have to award the contract before any work starts. I don't know when it'll start yet.
I think it will be this year.
The board will get the bids, hopefully at the next meeting, if not the September meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Yes?
Speaking of signs, I
Can you
just
name
like,
and-
Doris Lloyd, I'd like to just make a comment. Several months ago, there was mention of a neon sign outside to bring people in to the community. I'd just like to say we are a homeowners community. We are not a commercial entity. Please don't put up a neon sign.
Yes.
In the back?
I would just like to talk about a fee, a security deposit. I think you need to think about people who rent it for catering or affairs. I think you should collect a security deposit. And then if the place is cleaned up, they get their deposit back. Because I belong to Shape Ups, and I can't tell you how many times that place is, I mean, it's just not fit. So I think everybody else does it, and so this is a fee I think that we would want, because other groups come in, they use the kitchen, and I mean, face it, for years that kitchen hasn't been fit to use. So they just need to clean it up, and you just need to take their security deposit if they don't.
Can I have your name, please, Sue?
Carol Hornack,
Carol
17 Poplar Trail.
Thank you. Yes, Doug.
Doug Slingerland, 8 Cove Lane. Instead of just hearing a dissatisfaction with the printed bricks on the north thing, I'd like you to take positive action to modify that and get some brick possibly similar to what's on the firehouse or the community house. Don't just listen to complaints about it. I may have missed it if it said there was a printed brick pattern on the thing I voted for, but it degrades otherwise good sign, I believe.
Thank you, Doug.
My name is Jerry Atterbury, Section 10. My comment will not cost a dime. I refer to the speed on Ocean Parkway. From daylight till dark, there's people walking, jogging, bicycle riding, women pushing baby carriages, families out walking, small and large. Cars are parked up to the white line, and when speeds get over 35 miles an hour, it is a danger to those people. My wife and I get out and walk as often as we can, and it's horrendous out there with the speed on the parkway, especially down toward the point. It seems like people make an extra effort to either get up there or get out of there. And the speed limit that they use is a lot more than 35 or 40 miles an hour. I hope that this can be rectified. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? With that, I'll close public comments. And we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. We have one ARC violation. Tom, do you want to address this? The recommendation is to send the violation to legal counsel, or to counsel for legal advice. Basically, to send a letter by the OPA attorney giving the owner 10 days to respond to corrective action or a consent order.
Right, and you can see that there's been a whole series of contacts with them from December 4th to July 6th. Carrie called the owner on July 6th, spoke to them. They promised to have the trailer removed no later than July 11th. He went up there on the 12th. It was not removed, and it looks like we're not going to get the compliance that was promised us, so we're asking the board to authorize taking actions against them.
So I understand it, and I went and looked at the house, and we have a pretty good picture of it here, recent one, the first one anyways, it just shows a pontoon boat on a trailer. You know, that's not the only pontoon boat on a trailer in Ocean Pines that's not parked in a driveway. There's probably 50. People park their boats beside their houses all winter long. Why are we going after this guy?
Well, I think again, you see the pictures here, but on top of that, it's if there's 50 that are parked not on alongside the houses and things, they're in violation as well. They need to be.
I'm not sure. The guideline they're quoting here, 1100-1 C1. Now 1100 didn't exist when this guy bought his house. You didn't have to have a driveway at all in Ocean Pines when this house was built. But now we have driveways and all that good stuff. All vehicles must be parked on the residence driveway or paved parking area. Does that fall back to our DRs where no parking is allowed on the street? I don't see the vehicle. I see a boat trailer with a boat on it.
I mean, you're seeing a lot of different things there. You're seeing a boat that has tires that are actually just sitting on rims. I don't even think the tires are on the trailer. But you're also seeing a truck bed liner and a cap laid up against the boat.
That's all long gone. Long gone. Here's what it looks like right now.
Yeah.
It's a boat on a trailer with an American flag.
Yeah.
And 4 good tires on the trailer.
Now, again, the trailer the boat was supposed to be moved. It's not moved. This is the next step. If you don't want to, if the board doesn't think that we're going to take action on it, just say it and we'll close the file. But the staff is recommending that the action be taken to remove the boat.
It's in violation of the current DR, right?
Well, I'm not sure it is. I thought we said vehicles weren't trailers at another point in time. Wasn't there a ECC action against somebody who had an expired tag on a trailer and then we end up throwing that away?
Yeah, that was a different issue though, Maury. That was the case was it wasn't a driveway and it was an expired tag issue as to whether or not it was an abandoned or vehicle. Different case. I mean, this is where, I mean, basically, do the guidelines allow people to put boats in woods or wherever they feel like? I mean, or, large things. I wouldn't think so.
I guess that's a matter of what guideline you look at. The most recent one, yes, but is that enforceable? It is. We dropped cases against people with driveways.
We can always, but I mean, if we're asking the question, the answer is if it's in accordance with the current guideline and they're sending the recommendation to us based upon that current guideline, what else can they use? I mean, I don't know. If we want to change the guidelines, then we want to go about doing that.
We did change the guidelines. The guidelines when he built his house, you didn't have to have a driveway.
Yeah, well, that wasn't we. But the fact is, right now, yeah, that's right, you didn't have a driveway, or have to have a driveway, but I don't think that's the point, really. I mean, the point is, where can you put? I mean, this isn't even where a driveway would be. I mean, nobody would have a driveway right there, even if they had a driveway. And moreover, I don't know that he doesn't have a driveway.
I see a lot of cars parked on a lot of lawns in Ocean Pines, a lot of boats and boat trailers parked on lawns in Ocean Pines. I'm just wondering why we're after this guy.
It doesn't add to the attractiveness of the community.
Oh, I won't argue with that. I don't think boat trailers should be allowed at all.
Well, the thing of it is, the one thing about violations is you sort of have to do them one at a time. You know?
One of the things I noticed in looking at these photographs, the back end of that boat appears to be almost right on the property line.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
It's about 5 feet from the house next door. And if I lived in that house next door, I would be down here beating on this table to get that thing moved if it wasn't there legally.
Well, the fact is, if we send it to legal, when those letters go out to legal, 95% of the time they comply out and they move them when
It sounds to me that the appropriate step is to send it to legal and get the letter out, and I believe it will. You know, I believe there's, looking at the history, there's at least a reasonable chance that it might get complied out. I mean,
That's a good question.
I'd like to move that we follow the recommendation.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Are you ready for 105 yet?
Yeah, actually, I apologize. I asked Carrie for a written report. Carrie gave me that written report. I thought I had it in my packet here, and I do not. I will get it out to you tomorrow. But this is the dirty deeds one?
Yeah.
Okay. We've initiated the action with the courts to require the truck to be moved. It's also, we're looking at it in terms of being a potential one to do the sheriff's sale with that the board had asked to do. I've got an entire list of those that I'm working on right now. I probably want to do them in stages. We have a total of 48 properties with a gross receivable value of about $132,000. I wouldn't want to discuss the strategies that we'll use in public, but I'm going to finish this up tomorrow, and I want to tell you that here are the ones we'll attack first, here's the ones we'll attack second.
How many years back is it?
What?
How many years back is number one?
I mean, they haven't paid their assessments, you mean, or they've
Yeah, their
been a mess?
assessment. Oh.
They haven't paid their assessments for 3 years or ever.
Oh,
But the also has been a problem. Okay, as long as we're gonna go keep after it. The reason why I brought it up and asked you to talk about it was because you sent us an email and we really shouldn't be discussing information fine, but decision-making by email wouldn't
And I
be.
did, when you asked me about that, I asked Terry to give me a written report. He did. I thought I had it, and I'm just not coming.
We're just gonna we'll keep after this guy.
Tomorrow you'll have it.
All right, thank you.
The last item of business is a committee. I have one appointment for same guy, two committees.
Good old Chuck.
And no, that's not really true. By our new resolution, I read it and reread it, and then again, and it doesn't say anything about only being on one committee that I can find.
No, I looked at the same thing, but it does say that we have to have a recommendation from the chair.
Well,
I will tell you that our chair or the chair of the...
Chair of the committee.
The chair of the committee strongly recommends him for the Marine Activity Committee.
Yeah, and Chuck has told me that he has talked to the chairs of both committees, and they're both welcoming me on. So without objection, I would like to appoint Chuck Schoch to the Bylaws Committee. And by the way, we desperately sort of need on the Bylaws Committee. Look at Gail nodding her head, she got out of that. And the Marine Activities Committee.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to vote to adjourn.
You'd like to make a motion.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Then you can vote.
Then you can vote.
Oh, okay, let's